Hey everyone, how are you? So I figured I was going to make a quick little video for everybody answering a question that I had received. And it's a doozy of a question. So it's not something that I could just really like answer quickly in text form because it would have been just like entirely way too big. So the question was a really bizarre question about being in the South and do real men exist? And trying to see if I could pull it up. I'll see if I could pin it maybe in the thumbnail. And yeah, I mean, asking like, is there one thing that I would go to jail over? So I guess like I'll start with that one. And yeah, I would over a child, right? Mine or anyone else's. Like people need to stop putting their hands on our children and messing with their heads and everything. But I do think that, yeah, real men technically still exist. They had referenced, cowboys and moving out of New York. And it was just a ridiculous question that I don't think really was looking for an answer, but I'm going to give one. So, yeah, I do. I think that cowboys are still out there. I think that different parts of the country, especially where I moved up to Kentucky, Tennessee area, where the military bases are. They're surrounded by veterans and active duty service members. And they, all kind of live by the same classic code: protect, provide, and show up. Those places have more of the kind of men that we're talking about, right? Men who still feel that instincts are in their bones to protect children, to protect women, to protect the most vulnerable, but obviously for their country. But I don't think evil discriminates. It doesn't care about your faith, your race, your job, what zip code you live in, what your bank account looks like. You're going to find bad actors in every town, every school, every profession, every church, and every corner of this country. The South is not perfect, right? And I'll never pretend that it is. But I do believe it's better for my family and for the values that I hold. And that's my choice, right? That's the beauty about being an American. We get to make choices for ourselves and our children. And it's much better for us than what I had in places like New York. I prefer the freedom of choice, and we still have that here. I don't want a one size fits all blanket of laws written by people who think the rest of us aren't sophisticated enough to handle our own lives. And that's what we've seen, especially during the COVID days, right? When a state is ruled by a majority who values the same values as us, lifestyles, priorities have nothing in common with each other, you're not going to have a very conducive environment, right? You need to be in an area that you align with. That's just how it is. Like when you have a bunch of people that don't align with the rest of the citizens, you end up with rules, laws, and expectations that feel completely foreign to regular Americans of any race, ethnicity, and religion, right? You have your politicians, your lawyers, judges, law enforcement, and they have to govern by the numbers. They have to look at the statistics and the math and common sense. And 90% of the population simply doesn't have the wiring, the interest, or the IQ to grasp certain hard realities. Let's get back to the COVID days. Like what a virus actually is or how society really functions. So the leaders, they're going to manage the best that they can. They hand out the placebos, the security blankets to the masses so people can keep living, working, moving forward, and things don't completely fall apart. But you can't run an entire town or state based on the needs of 10% of people, right? The numbers don't add up. So you're going to go with the 90%. And if that's what the 90% needs to take care of each other and to keep things functioning, that's what the leaders are going to do. Order out of chaos means feelings cannot override basic math. And this is just the way it is. So being in Tennessee, I'm around much more like-minded people. Being in New York, the population doesn't align with everything that I want for my family. That same pressure, it trickles down to the families. And this is the part that I own completely. I blame us. I blame myself, including myself, for why so many men aren't acting like men anymore, right? We were the Miss Independent generation. We proudly took on roles that we didn't even truly really want, roles that were never meant to be ours in the first place. We stepped into the provider, protector, and decision making positions that none of us actually really wanted. And then you turn around and wonder why men stop stepping up. We unalive their natural instincts. Men stop acting like men and feeling the need to protect and provide the moment we decide to take on those roles. We failed as moms, in my opinion, by choosing the independence. And now we're living with the fallout. Many of us are living with the fallout. That is really what's going on here. And I don't see women taking any responsibility. I just see people making jokes and mocking and all of this and that. Like, where's the real men at? Where's this? Where's that? You know, I mean, it's just frustrating. It's like bizarre. I mean, you don't want to hear how somebody feels about something because it's going to get you annoyed. But I'm going to give you my opinion. You don't have to listen to it. But people are asking these questions. I'm going to tell you what I think. And if you don't think the same way, let me know in the comments. But I'm not looking to argue. I don't have time for that. No offense. I just don't care. We can all agree to disagree. But I mean, really, think about it. I mean, women were we were forced into the workplace because one income no longer kept the lights on. Like Keeping Up with the Joneses became the Joneses. Remember that show? It became more important than keeping the family together. Boomers, in my opinion, wanted to stay free, travel, golf, hang with friends. They don't want to babysit their grandkids. They don't want to share housing to rebuild and have real multi-generational strength. They watched their own parents create the American dream on a single paycheck, a house, a car, vacations with some money left over, and a nice pension. And they built real wealth in real estate simply by buying before the booms. Homes built 75 years ago, for example, would have cost not even $200,000, okay, to replace them new. So you could rebuild these houses with $200,000 in materials, even using brick, because a lot of the houses are brick. But they're selling these old houses falling apart for $750,000 to $1 million. And people cheered for those price jumps because it lined their pockets. They never stopped to think about what it did to their own grandchildren, the nieces, the nephews, the neighborhood. It was easier to live in the fictional past where if you just work hard, everything will be fine. They just ignored the cold math, staring them right in the face. Back then, a regular guy could have an American dream with a post office job or be a teacher and have a teaching salary. Heck, people that were managers at Woolworths. And then the men came home and they had their steak and potatoes and they were happy. Moms had time to volunteer at school, run the bake sales, teach crafts at the library, host bingo nights, and build a real safety net of charity and community support. That village actually existed. And single moms and widows weren't left completely on their own. Neighbors stepped in to help raise the kids and fill the gaps. I remember being young in my playpen at my parents' bar and restaurant as the cooks were cooking and things like that. Because I was blessed, even though I'm an orphan technically, I was able to be raised primarily by my paternal grandma and grandpa. And that's what happened. The kids would be there at the firehouse while the women were doing all kinds of cooking and stuff. And they would have, we'd have all these events and you'd have your peppers and sausage and peppers and your meatball parm wedges and your jabbolis, your Italian festivals, your Irish festivals. They would have all these fundraisers and fairs and penny socials. And that's where the kids were. You went with your mommy, you went with your grandma, and they volunteered their time. I mean, now women have to work just to afford the extras. Summer camp, good luck. Braces on teeth, good luck. Family vacations, family vacation for who? Without that second income, there's no financial breathing room anymore. So women had to step into a provider role, hand their children over to strangers during the most formative years, and pray it all works out. The village disappeared. People used to grow tomatoes in their backyards or all over in the front yards by their trellises and their fences. And now we pay 10 times that to have them shipped from overseas and pumped full of chemicals just to survive the trip over here. So New York didn't just like change overnight. It changed because massive waves of people moved in who had zero interest in the same things that the locals valued. They have no roots there, none. No great grandpa who sweetened, all the lemonades that they would make and everything that would be exported when they go down to Florida and back. You had your, what do they call them? The snowbirds. People come up to New York in the winters. They go to Florida. In the summers, they come to New York. You didn't have your great grandpas going back and forth with all the transportations and trying to build the country up and work really hard. You didn't have your uncles who built the bridges that take you across to the 5 boroughs now. I mean, you didn't have any of that. Then you don't understand it. But most of us, we had family, we had legacy. We knew that Washington came through these streets. There was battles fought. There was Revolutionary Wars. We became America. There was Yorktown. There's so much rich history, and you could connect the dots to when your family immigrated over here. Like I had some family that immigrated, and then the rest of my family was from America. Like when you look into these things, that's what keeps a place going. It does. When people don't have a connection, they don't protect the town the same way. The streets get trashed. You get poo-poo maps. The community is fractured. The places stop feeling like home because it's not home to the majority of the people that are there. They're not looking at a building saying, oh my gosh, my grandpa helped lay the bricks for this. Or my uncle was the janitor. Or my aunt was a nurse. Or I know the farmer that owned this farm that's now a development. The beautiful counties and small towns never stood a chance against the tide of massive migrants. New York isn't built for the regular American anymore. The ones who want the basics, a mom who gets to be a mom. That's all I want. I just want to be a mom right now. I want to be a mom. I want to run my mouth. I want to have side gigs a little bit here and there, as long as it doesn't take away from what my kids need. You don't get a dad who gets to be a dad, who gets to work hard and just enjoy a simple dinner every night. You don't have a shot at raising your kids without both parents working 24/7 right now just to stay afloat. In New York, it's impossible. But there's still parts of this country that refuse to let the outsiders rewrite the entire script. It's not being prejudiced. It's not being hateful. It's just caring about what you love, what matters. Places where the majority still actually loves the basic America that we're built upon. Places where citizens still have a real chance to raise strong, resilient kids that are full of self-esteem, basic skills, and security. The kind of life that so many generations fought for and so many immigrants crossed oceans and endured hell to give our families. And that nonsensical comment the person made about me being with the good old boys, I'm not with the good old boys. I'm not with any clique. I'm just grateful we still have the freedom of America to move where we fit best. And even if I never fully get accepted, even if I never completely blend in, at least I know this is exactly where I want my kids. Here, they stand a real chance to build a life, start their own families, and have something to show for their hard work instead of grinding forever with nothing left at the end of the day. Back in New York, my kid's dad's family has 50-something acres of property. And do you know what they're doing with it? They want to just give it to the state. They don't want to keep the farmland. 50 acres of farmland. They just want to give it to the state. There's no care or concern or love for the fact that it's farmland and what their families went through to get it. Grandma came for 2 days to visit, and then she went and stayed in a hotel because it was too much at night, too much chaos. I don't have a family. I don't have a village to help me with my children. So I have to make it myself. And if I'm going to try to give them the best shot that they can possibly have, it sure as heck isn't going to be in New York, because that's what New York does to people. New York makes grandmas that don't want to be grandmas, even though they have beautiful hearts and they're doing the best they can. They don't know how. It's not there. They just don't want the same things. That's the life that a lot of us are dealt, because we're raised in an area that rapidly changed people into being very selfish and not wanting to face reality and accountability for anything that they participated in or anything that they may be turning their cheek on. It's just so easy to stay oblivious and just blame, blame, blame because you were able to do it. So there's no excuse that your kids can't do it. When in reality, you weren't able to do anything. You just got really lucky. So yeah, I'm darn proud that I was able to be born in America and be able to choose where I reside in this country. And I know that at any given time, policies change, laws change, but as long as I still have the freedom to relocate to where there's work and where there's stability, that the kids can still have a chance to prosper, flourish, and have a good life, that's what I'm going to do. And that is the one and only thing that I would honestly say that, yeah, I would go to jail over kids. You have to have something to stand up for. If you don't stand on something, you fall for everything. And everybody just falls for all this constant bickering, constant arguing, constant accusations of name calling, gaslighting, baloney, instead of just seeing that everybody's being divided on purpose. And the only people that it's hurting is your children. We're just hurting our youth. We're just hurting our chances on having happiness. Remember when you're a kid and you could literally have the time of your life with an oversized box? I mean, I remember making it a spaceship, a car, a playhouse, a castle. We did all kinds of things with just a darn box. We played with sticks in the yard. Imagination and joy and laughter. Forget it if you could turn on an FM radio, you'd have the time of your life. And if you were blessed enough to have somebody that could carry a tune or play a guitar, there's so much that doesn't matter financially, but what matters is your intention, your energy, your happiness. Are you doing something that makes you happy and makes the people around you happy? Because we all can contribute in a much better way if we stop wanting to fight all the time just because we're miserable because we haven't experienced anything else. I know what life is like. I loved living in upstate New York. I love being able to go to farms and be in the country and go camping and, real camping without cell phones, without any running water. Like, I enjoy the simplest things in life. And I want my kids to experience all that life has to offer. And to me, that is not in New York. New York is really turned into a third world country. And even though the rest of the state is still beautiful and it's got amazing people, the fact is you're doing policies and laws and all of that based on your majority. You're never going to do it on the minority of your population. So I didn't turn my back. I didn't give up. I didn't surrender. No, I'm an American and I did what America was built on. I'm going to the places that want to stay American. That's how you keep your country. If 90% of New Yorkers don't want the same things, I don't stand a chance there, and neither do my children, right? It's common sense. So there's a lot of reasons I'm grateful I moved. Will I stay planted in Tennessee forever? I don't know. I don't know. I'm looking at different career opportunities and different remote work. And if that takes me to somewhere like Alabama or there's not many states I really would want to live in, to be honest with you now, then so be it. But wherever I land, I'm staying because I want my kids to have what I had. I want them to be in a small town where everybody knows everybody and they can have a great life playing outside until the street lights come on, chasing fireflies and having a ball. And they could eat fruits and vegetables right off the bushes and right off the plants. And I want them to be able to drink from the well, from the pump hose that's in the yard that we had that you could pump and you knew the water was safe to drink. And I know that I'm not looking for a man to do that for me because I conditioned the people that I brought in my life, the people that I made children with, to not be the kind of man that I need them to be. I don't know if things are going to work out. I don't know if they're not going to work out. All I know is that we have to do whatever is best for the kids. And then as long as the kids have both of us at all times and they know that we show up and there's no negativity, they don't see us being disrespectful to one another, they don't know anything about financial troubles or anything, then that is fine. I just trust and thankful that I live in a country that I can try to make it. But it is sad that we've overcomplicated things so much that we can't just have conversations. Like people just leave these ridiculous comments and they're rude. They think they know everything. So if you already think you know the answer to the questions, don't ask the questions. And if you think that you know somebody's story, then I'm really sorry for you. Write your own. Because you don't know any of ours. We're just people on the internet running our little yaps, giving you something to listen to laugh at, to learn from, or so you don't feel so alone. Because life can be really shitty sometimes. I've been there every day. I thank God that I keep going because that's what we have to do. Every day is still a gift and it's still a blessing. So, Mom and rant over. Thank you guys so much for listening to me. It's sad because you know what? The person that wrote all this is probably not even here. They're probably not even going to listen to my response. But just in case they do, there you go. So, all right, guys. It was great chatting with you. I have a bunch of errands to run. I will talk to y'all soon. Much love. Share, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff.